Okay, heyo, hopefully everything's working. I am going to present a new item routing for the start of the Unsighted any percent speedrun. So I'm going to start from a fresh file. Yep, mostly this video I guess is intended for like just commentary among the community and, you know, maybe of course like people can edit this. I'm more happy to do a more thorough summary, I think. And I'd rather make that after this because there's a lot of stuff that I've found and I think it's a little bit faster than the initial or the current route, but I haven't tested it. I'm not, you know, that great at speedrunning myself, so I guess the whole purpose of this is to put ideas across without necessarily saying anything in stone. So I'm going to see how much of this I can remember, and I'll supplement it with additional notes if I forget anything. So as best I remember, it's pretty simple out of the lab. I'm going to grab the syringe because I'm a casual. And yeah. Oops. Yeah, no, we don't grab any materials down here, no weapon, no nothing. So, route continues as normal from here. Grab the war axe. Equip. So, this is where the differences start. So, what I start incorporating here is enemy drops and enemy loot tables along with material crystals and material crystal loot tables. The way we know that, or the way I understand that enemy drops work from the code is basically each enemy has a loot table, and that each time you get a kill on that enemy in your current play session, enemies, or basically drops, loop through that table. So I've got what is this? What's this called? Unity Explorer, I think it's called. Installed here as a mod. It's not affecting the game in any way. I've also got a hack installed that enables the cheats in the game, so you can see the cheats menu here. I haven't used any of them, and I won't be using them for this showcase. But I can give you an example of these tables. So if I switch scene, we've got yeah, there's 3 spiders here that aren't in the hard mode, and if we open up this and then this, and then if I scroll down a little here, there is a drop controller, and this is basically a list of items that is defined per enemy species. And it's constant across multiple save files or whatever. And for spiders specifically, it is, it's a list of items. So blank, it's blank, then metal scrap, engine oil, blank, metal scrap, blank, engine oil, blank, metal scrap. And the way this works is there is a different type of object called a drop info. I'm not going to search for it here because it's not that important. Also, it hasn't been created yet. But the way it works is when you kill your first spider, it won't drop anything. When you kill your second spider, even though it says 1, it's the second item in the list, it'll drop a metal scrap. You kill your third, it'll drop an engine oil, and you kill your fourth, it'll drop an engine oil. That's all we need to know for this, because we basically kill 4 spiders to get 2 engine oil and a metal scrap. That is the most effective part of this list, because as you can see, it gets quite sparse as we go further on. Also, when we kill our 10th spider and then kill our 11th, we go back to the start again. So after getting a metal scrap here, we get nothing, and then go back to metal scrap, engine oil. The other way this works is the drop info object, which stores how far in this list we are, persists only per game session. So if you save and quit, you are back to 0 enemies killed, and therefore the next enemy you kill will start dropping this here. So that will be important the further we go into the run, or like into this exploration, I guess. Yeah, yeah, that's one of the things. The other thing is, recently I figured out how material crystal loot tables work. This one is going to be purely by just by my explanations. We'll enjoy the view of Crater Tower as I explain them. So each material crystal, each area has a defined list of items that material crystals can drop. All of those lists contain iron bars and sprockets. But then every area, or most areas, have additional items on top of that. And those items come in a particular order. So in downtown, for instance, that order in particular is iron bar, then wire, then engine oil, then sprocket. And the way this list is used is each time you break a material crystal, it checks the player's inventory for what items they currently have. And it will basically find the item the player has the least of, and then give them the first item in the list with that many quantities. So if you have no items, in downtown, when you break your first material crystal, we will get an iron ingot. And I'll actually show this off here. So the first thing we're going to do is kill a single spider here. You can jump attack to kill them immediately with the axe. And you see that spider didn't drop anything aside from 4 bolts. We have just a repair syringe in our inventory. That is what I was showing you with this. We've just hit here. Do I want to search for the drop info? Ignore what's going on in the background. If I open the level controller here, I need to pause so that other spider doesn't come and attack me. There is a drop info object here. If I auto update, I'm going to open this and open this drop info object. So in here, in the level, basically we have the enemy stored and then the position in this list, right? So what's happened was initially there was no object, and then basically what happens is this object gets created with a value of 0. Then the drop controller drops this item, and then the drop info object is incremented by 1, so we end up with 1. That means that the next spider we kill will drop the first item in the list, then this gets incremented again, so it ends up at 2. And then, of course, I was talking about with the overflowing where it goes back to the start of the list. So that's that. So we didn't get any drop there, and then I'm going to break these bushes down here, and then break this. So as I said, the order in downtown is iron ingots first. So for breaking this, we get a single iron ingot. Also get 32 bolts, which is kind of important. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill a second spider. Normally, if you've gone fast enough, you can just normal attack the spider, but I don't think I have any combo. Maybe your combo stays for some reason. I wonder if when your combo meter is off screen, it doesn't deplete. Maybe someone else knows better than me. Regardless, I'll take that. And this spider drops a metal scrap. And yeah, as was second in this list, metal scrap. So we're going all right so far. The next thing that I do is kill this spider. So it seems like our combo's gone again. There we go. But that gets us an engine oil, which is the third item in this list. So that's good. However, what we've done now is we've given ourselves an iron ingot and an engine oil and a metal scrap, right? These items are part of these two are part of the downtown material crystal loot table. So, which is iron ingot, wire, engine oil, sprocket, as a reminder. So, the way the list is going to get browsed now is the game sees we have an iron ingot, so it won't give us an iron ingot. It then checks how many wires we have. We don't have any wires, and therefore it drops us a wire. Technically, it goes backwards, and the list is a bit longer, but in theory, in practice, this is how it works. So if I break this material crystal here, I'm going to get a wire, which is great. And then what we want to do is I'm just going to break these boxes in case we get an extra metal scrap, which is what we're looking for. Well, actually, no, that's not necessary anymore, but it's good practice to do anyway. I think it's a good idea to do just in general, but there is definitely an opportunity later to buy more metal scrap as well. I think I'm going to go through and do all of this again afterwards. Let me just double check I'm recording. Everything seems fine. So yeah, I'm going to go through and I'll do a run again after this and put most of this into practice. So we've got our wire here, and now what we have is an iron ingot, an engine oil, and a wire. And that is the first 3 items in the table, and we have one of those, which means the last item in the table, which is the sprocket, will now drop from this crystal here. Previously, I think what's happened was a couple of these guys were killed and we got a metal scrap, which is nice to have, I guess. But because we didn't kill the last one and pick up an engine oil, this one usually drops an engine oil. But because we've picked up an engine oil from that spider now, when we break this one, instead we get a sprocket. Sprockets are worth 200, engine oil is worth 50. So definitely worth doing. Now, the way the material crystal loot table works this time is now we have one of everything. It will go back to the start again. So at the next material crystal we drop in downtown will drop us an iron ingot. However, we don't go that far. We don't find any more in downtown. So my next thing I usually do is break a couple crates. Might not be necessary again, as I was saying. But I haven't quite routed the scrap requirements into this or done runs with or without cans yet. Or lots of metal scrap. So now we're in the main part of downtown, or at least in this room we have another spider, and there are 2 gunners. I think they're called slugs in the code. So what we want to do is, in our loot table here, we want to collect this 4th item here because engine oil is good for us. It lets us make stamina cogs. So we want to kill our 4th spider, and that is the last spider we want to kill, really. Anything else is just a bonus. And in general, picking up more items isn't that bad. Not the items that I'm rooting in anyway. So I think worst case scenario, if you pick up more engine oil, that's fine. If you pick up more scrap, that's fine. Even picking up more wires should be fine. That can be routed in. The difference is we need to make sure our sprocket quantity is heavily regulated. So if you pick up another sprocket, if you pick up any additional sprockets in this route, everything's going to go weird. Yeah, and that's more apparent when we get into gardens. So the other loot table I want to talk about is the loot table for the slugs here. I would look it up, but since we've got an idea of how it works now, basically I'll just tell you what the loot table looks like. It's blank wire, blank fuse. We don't need fuses for anything. However, wires are good for hook shots and are otherwise hard to find. We've picked one up from the crystal already, but independent of that, these guys will drop one anyway. So if we kill this guy and this guy, we picked up a wire, as you can see here. So we should have 2 wires in our inventory, which is enough for our hook shots. Extra tip I found here, even though you've killed these guys, if you scroll all the way to the top of the screen, I think, so aim up on controller or just put your mouse to, yeah, I guess as far above Alma as you can on keyboard. And I think if you walk up here, it skips Iris's cutscene just. If your cursor is at any other angle, then this spider here will load too late. In addition, I'm going to kill this big spider here for something we'll see later. The loot table for these guys is blank coil, like the electric coil, and then blank. So after killing 2, you get a coil. After killing 5, you get a coil. After killing 8, you get a coil, etc. I'm only killing 1 because... Oh, sorry, I'm killing 1 now so that the next one we kill drops us another coil. Coils cost 300, so that saves us 300 bolts doing that. We can keep these guys on screen like so. I'm going to fall off here and do this trick. As is the current any % route. Extra can, nice. Dark Spawn. So I've got a couple strats in here. This is important for money later. But the amount of critical hits you get on these guys, I've realised critical hits give you bonus bolts, and depending on the strength of the enemy, you get more bolts from it. So actually, if you whiff the one shot on these guys, you get an additional 60 bolts, and you actually have time to do it on the first one. So if necessary, that can get an extra, get us an extra metal scrap in the shop later. However, it isn't necessary for the item route, so if it's faster, then just kill him quickly. I haven't tested that one. But yeah. Oops. I think I need to whiff a parry. There we go. Yeah, because you lose combo when you take damage. There we go. I'm going to come over here and grab this before the next guy spawns. If you walk up to them, it's easier to get there. Keep them close to you, and I'm going to break this as well. Yes, I don't know if you were watching then, but maybe if you scroll back in the video, you should be able to see the 60 bolts you get each time you hit them after a critical hit, and then they drop 1,000 on death as well. So yeah, you can break the crates up here, of course. You know, that's an option. But yeah, gonna continue on briefly. So what I worked out here is after we skip both these cutscenes, you can press escape to skip here, which it took me ages to realize. The first thing you do is shop when you come in here, and it's imperative. Now we're in gardens, we've got a different loot table in our material crystals, right? So what we want ideally from these crystals is expensive items like iron ingots and sprockets. We've got enough wires, so if we can avoid wires, that would be great. However, it's really hard to avoid wires in the gardens loot table. I think it goes wires, engine oil, metal scrap, then iron ingots, then sprockets. Which basically means what we want to do is there's 3 crystals that are pretty easy to grab in gardens. One of them takes 5 seconds to grab on the spinner. Why am I stuck? Does Anna have a hitbox? I had no idea. Yeah, so there's another material crystal just up here. It takes about 10 seconds to grab on foot, about 5 seconds to grab with the spinner. There's 2 others that we see in the speedrun. There's one up here with that chest and one down there with that chest, right? What if we want the most money out of those? I've found out that it's most effective to get what is it? We can get 2 iron ingots and a sprocket by manipulating the table. And the way we do that is if we check our items at the moment, in order to get ingots and sprockets, we need enough metal scrap, wires, and engine oil that these items basically get given first. So we have enough at the moment. However, with, what is it? Engine oil and wires, you'll always have 2 engine oil from killing the 4 spiders. And you'll always have 2 wires, one from a material crystal, one from killing the slugs in downtown. So that set us up pretty well. However, the last thing you need is 2 metal scrap. You get 1 from the walkie guys, right? The spiders. And you can, if you're not unlucky, you'll get at least 1 from boxes too. Despite that, I think using that metal scrap as a bonus is much more useful to us, I think. I guess it's probably important to point out that the purpose of this section now is we want to make sure we've got enough crafted items to beat the game, right? Usually we get a shotgun, 2 hook shots, a spinner, and then sometimes an attack cog and a stamina cog, right? Getting those in particular orders is necessary to leave downtown. And with the current route, go to the factory entrance. That doesn't necessarily have to be a part of this, though I haven't thought about that as a route yet. But the important thing right now is that we end up with a spinner and the jump boots before we leave. Because of course we skip the spinner rack. And we want the spinner to be able to cross water and leave gardens quickly. And the way we do that is we obviously need... Oh yeah, the hardest part of that is we need 8 iron ingots total, which are quite expensive. So I think the way I've figured out to... What have I really figured out here, I guess? It's like... Yeah, the most important thing, I guess, is getting the most money out of material crystals. So we manipulate the table by making sure that if we buy, if we come in here and buy, I'm gonna just buy three ingots and 3 coils for now. So with the way we've set ourselves up so far, 3 coils is enough because we kill one hopping spider to get our last one. Yes, we want 3 iron ingots then, rather than all of them, in order to finish off the spinner without having enough iron in our inventory that it's gonna change the drop table that we end up getting wires, oil, and metal scrap, right? So those are pretty useless to us. So if we do this and craft a spinner, just a spinner for now, then what we end up with in our items is 2 oil, 2 wires, 2 cans still, and a sprocket. So we have no iron ingots which are in the crystal drop table, and therefore we'll get one of those first. And then because ingots are before sprockets in that table again is wires, engine oil, metal scrap, iron ingots, sprocket. What we'll get is, in this first crystal over here, we'll get an iron ingot. And then I'm going to pop up here and grab the meteor dust as usual. And then so we got an iron ingot, and then again ironing. So that we got an iron ingot because we had 0 of them. Now we have 1 of them as well as 1 sprocket, but because iron ingots are before sprockets, we get an iron ingot here. And then lastly down here, now we have 2 iron ingots as well as 2 as everything else aside from sprockets, and therefore we get a sprocket from this one. So what that's done is that's got a 600 bolts worth of 600 bolts worth of materials, as well as 32, I think it's 96 bolts from actually breaking the crystals themselves. And with this current money route, basically that gives us enough for, if we want to, yes, see what you can do here is essentially, after we buy the 2 iron ingots, which gets us the jump boots to leave, everything else is pretty much optional. We need 2 more iron ingots for jump boots. We need 2 more sprockets for a shotgun. Then we will pick up our extra coil later. We have our 2 wires. The only thing we're missing is metal scrap. In addition, we only have 2 engine oil. And we can get 1 from an enemy later, so buying 1's probably a good idea. However, that doesn't need to be done now. So this is where the route kind of becomes flexible. I'll go into what I'd recommend later, but it's not by any means necessary. So the last thing we need is 2 iron ingots for our boots. And then, and by buying them later now and doing it in a second shop trip, we've got them from the material crystals instead, so we've saved ourselves a bunch of money. And that money can be used to buy those additional sprockets, but we don't have to do that because when we go back into downtown, we have a good way of finding sprockets in the same way we already do. And the amount of metal scrap and engine oil we own doesn't influence that drop table at all. So what we can do now is, if we want, we can just fill up on metal scrap from the shop here. Typically what I do is when I'd come in here, you have enough money. If you've killed everything the fastest way possible, then you end up with it's either this many bolts or like 2 less bolts, I think. You should end up with 20 bolts when you're done, I think. So yeah, basically if I spend this now, we have 26 bolts, right? I think you lose 6 of them if you don't... what is it? Did I end up killing both spiders? I'm not sure where the extra 6 has come from. It was probably from parrying the big spider if I did. But regardless, those extra bolts aren't really a problem. The other thing is... Oh yeah, sorry. Buying 9 of these Buying 9 of these along with the one that we have guaranteed dropped from the spiders earlier gives us enough metal scrap to craft both the jump boots and... what's the other thing that requires scrap here? Is it the... Yeah. I think it's just the hook shots. So I'm ignoring the shotgun for now. And doing that means that we don't have to... We're not risking any metal scrap while we're on our next segment, basically. So buying all 9 of those there is a pretty good idea. I'm going to come down here and go give this stuff to Cecilia, the meteor dust. That gets us our good parry chip. I don't think we necessarily need it here. Ooh, okay. I haven't rooted this in. I think the parry master chip means you don't have to slap the dark spawn with Raquel's axe in it. But the strength chip might increase our damage against the hopping spider that we need to kill. I found that a jump attack from the spinner with Raquel's axe and the strength chip kills it. If you keep your combo up from the dark spawn fight. But I'll try the parry chip this time. We'll give it a go. And I'll see if it works any better. So with the scrap we've bought, we have 2 extras here. We've probably picked up those 2 extras. It was 1 in downtown and probably 1 around here in the gardens as well. But we have enough materials for our jump boots. So now we've done that. This leaves our inventory with 2 sprockets, 2 wires, 1 coil, and then 6 scrap. Of course, that would be minimum 4 scrap with what I've bought. So, of course, there are other ways to get that scrap as well. I found a good way to grind it that seems fairly quick, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that over buying it, I think, because we come back with a few extra bolts later. It's like, it seems like it's worth it, you know. It's worth it to go back into the shop anyway, is my guess. But of course we don't have to. So, I am now going to head out of gardens with this stuff. And, yes, the thing we're looking for is 2 extra sprockets, by the way. So I was talking about sprockets being basically, we need to regulate our sprocket quantity very greatly. So if you pick up any extra sprockets, the route's dead. And the reason for that is we need to pick up 2 of them in downtown. There is a way to pick up 2 of them in caves, I believe. On the route from Caves Entrance, which is like here, to the crystal, there are 2 material crystals in the like Caves Lake area. And if you break both of those with cogs being... if you don't have many cogs, basically, Caves has cogs... sprockets right at the start of their material list. Which means if you break those, you'll be pretty much guaranteed to get sprockets with all the item crafting we've done so far. Whereas... since they're last in downtown, it's like you've got to make sure you've got all your other item quantities regulated. So, however, we can manipulate the items that we'll get. So, we just head out of downtown as usual. Come across here. Grab the spin charge chip. Neutral jump up here. Sprint jump and jump attack. I don't think that was a sprint jump, actually. That was pretty good. Oh yeah, there's a little... Here's a neat trick. You can come down here and then go up this way if you want to avoid that guy. Now, what we need, I think... So this is... Abandoned facility is in downtown, by the way. That's important to note. But if we want 2 sprockets, we need to manipulate our loot again. And the way we do that is... well, currently we have 2 wires, 2 oil, 2 sprockets, and no ingots. So if we break materials now, we're going to get ingots. However, shortly after this, we're going to craft 2 hook shots, which is going to bunk us down 2 wires, down 2 sprockets, and down 2 coils. But coils aren't really relevant. So that leaves us with engine oil being the only thing we have in the table. In order to fill up that table again, what we'll get if we break material crystals is we'll get an ingot, we'll get a wire, and we'll get a sprocket. Typically, we'd need to do that again, so we'd need to break 6 crystals to get our 2 sprockets. However, we can do the thing that we currently do in the speedrun, which is break 2 crystals at the same time to get those 2 sprockets, and that knocks us down to only 4 material crystals. And of course, we have the 3 in the, like, is it the west side of downtown? And we have our 2 that we need for our hook shots to get over to the factory. All we need is 1 extra. Basically, what we need is we either need to fill our inventory with 1 iron ingot or 1 wire from somewhere else in order to get our drop table to the point where when we break 1 crystal, we'll get either the other ingot or the wire, and then we break the other 2 crystals and we get our 2 sprockets. So the fastest crystal, I think, is, I'm going to leave here and come back, because it's in here. If we break these boxes, these boxes, these boxes, you just bonk off this, leave. It's very hard to not pick that up before you actually leave here. And that gives us an ingot, because of the way our drop table looks. So, I'm not very good at this fight. Of course, I've got the Parry Master chip on now. I can only seem to get both of the lightning guys over, so I'm just going to do that. Yeah. There we go. See, it's also possible to pick up this one here. It depends how good you are at this fight. If you can lure the crystal, if you can lure the shadow creature down here, it's probably easier to get the one in the abandoned facility, I think is what it's called. Or is that here? Collapsed office. Yeah, abandoned facility. However, if you're bad like me, you can always just bonk off of this one. I'm not going to do that now. However, if our objective is to pick up 2 sprockets, it doesn't necessarily matter where we pick up that ingot and that wire from. As long as we've got those in our inventory, the next crystal we break will be a sprocket, and we can break 2 of them because we have crystals close together in downtown. So if you break this, it's not the end of the world. That's fine. In addition, if you pick up more ingots and more wires from anywhere, that should be absolutely fine too. So I'm going to ignore that for now. I've realized I've lost my combo at this point, which is going to be annoying. But with what I was talking about with... actually, I might just bonk off a couple enemies here, maybe. There we go, got a bit of combo. But yeah, with a jump attack, this guy dies. Normally. And then you can parry this one afterwards. And see, this one drops a coil. Although it does take a while, which is something interesting to point out. And this is because we haven't save and quit, by the way. So if we did save and quit, we'd need to kill another 2 hopping spiders. So that's something to bear in mind. I realise I've gotten less succinct as I've been recording, but hopefully it's just... hopefully there's enough information in here. Of course, these 2 spiders are still here. All of the enemies we have killed are here, whereas they'd be respawned if we save and quit so far. So in here is the grinding location for metal scrap. I'm just going to do it quickly. Basically, you just come in here, spin attack. You get all 4 of these, and then you can leave again. Although leave on the spinner. So it's just like that. If you don't get anything, just hop out. Yep. So yeah, you can do this if you need to grind scrap, I guess. But yeah, the reason we've come here is because I guess the current route picks up the downtown terminal. I've been debating going up here to create a tower to pick it up, because then you can come back round this way to fight M. I haven't tried that yet though, so that's just something that's on the table. Now we're going to craft both of our hook shots, because we have both of our coils, so let's do that quickly. And we've actually been really lucky with our scrap here, so I could craft an attack cog too, but I want to make sure I have 3 left for the shotgun. Although I don't actually have to. So now we have both of our hook shots. Our item pool is set basically. Yeah, here's a neat trick as well. If you jump attack off the spinner, you can get up here. This is like a probably a 6 or 7 high wall in like game units, I guess. And the way you do that is by doing a neutral jump. So I guess I'd assume it's holding no direction on the control stick. With keyboard, it's just don't hold any of the WASD buttons. And then you press jump attack immediately after. So if I do it here and do it slowly, you do a slow jump attack like that. But if I do it quick, you go really high. And that basically transfers the jump height over. I don't think you can get up with a neutral jump. Oh, you can. That's cool. Okay, so that's another option. That might be faster, actually. Just neutral jump off and then press E. There you go. Cool. Bit of speed. And here are 3 material crystals, right? So our loot table is iron ingot, engine oil. Oh, sorry, yeah, iron ingot, engine oil, wire. No, iron ingot, wire. I've forgotten. Crap. Which one is it? No, you definitely get the wire first. It's iron ingot, wire, engine oil, sprocket, right? So we have that ingot now that we picked up earlier from that other. We have the ingot that we picked up earlier from that other material crystal. We have 3 engine oil because we haven't crafted anything with it yet. So don't craft stamina cogs or anything like that up until this point, as we have done in the normal speedrun, and then hit this for a wire, and that sets our loot table. I'm just going to spin attack these to get them both at the same time, and we get our 2 sprockets. Sick. Now, we just bonk off this and go over to factory as usual. I think it's safe to go down here like that. Right, and we don't have our shotgun at the moment. Because we only just picked up our sprockets, right? So I'm going to equip the flame blade and the double hook shot and then get a move on. Let me activate that terminal, and now we're here, we can craft our shotgun, but actually I'm not going to. I think it's probably a better idea when we come over here to hook shot on the terminal, open it, upgrade a chip slot, get the spin attack chip, or whatever chip it is, I'm not sure what the chip routing is. Get that, and then teleport back to town. Because the idea is, you've picked up a bunch of bolts on your journey. It might be a good idea to just come back to the shop again. Like, it seems faster than grinding metal scrap anywhere. So I'm going to buy that extra engine oil for a stamina cog. And then just spend the rest of my money on metal scrap. And that means that we can just pop by this crafting table again. Make a bunch of attack cogs. I can't remember how many we usually make. Oops. And then make a stamina cog too. Yeah, I needed to make sure I had enough for the shotgun, but I forgot about that. So it's good that we do. And there's another crafting spree done, right? Of course, you can, if you've bought everything you want already, you can hop back to... you can just do your crafting here, this crafting table, and then teleport back over. But yeah, I do wonder if an extra shop is worth it. So that's something to consider. But yes, by the end of this route, we have a flame blade, a double hook shot, Raquel's axe, and the shotgun. And the differences, I guess, are... so the current route kills an additional dark spawn, and I think because of that has an extra 10-second iris cutscene, which is the... Oh no, it's that thing again, that one. Sorry, I've just realised that the cherry blossom is love hearts. That's adorable. But yeah, the current route kills an extra dark spawn for money, visits the travelling merchant to shop again, and as a trade-off instead, we go to this shop at least one extra time. We go up here to grab an extra material crystal, and then we grab one extra material crystal in the abandoned office. So it seems a little faster. However, you've also got to factor in the fact that there's a bunch of extra enemies killed. Despite that, the items that the current route gets also doesn't mean that we end up with a lot of money spare. So I've just made 3 attack cogs, right? I don't know if we can afford that usually, and maybe that can cut out some crafting later, because the fact that the shop's so close by, maybe that could help. But yeah, that's like the idea, right? I think the way, basically the minimum you're looking for, I've done some calcs. Let me double check my notes. So I think in practice, the more enemies, there's another thing you can do, which is when you when you critical hit the shadow creatures an extra time, you get an extra 60 bolts that can be used to buy another metal scrap. I think, what is it? There is a route with a slight risk, I think, which is if you instead, if you skip the last store, it's much better to, in your second store or maybe your first store, buy 8 metal scrap and 1 engine oil with the hope that you'll find 1 extra scrap on your journey, which is usually the case. However, then often you don't have enough to buy or to make many attack cogs at all. I think I got quite lucky with my scrap this run, actually. So yeah, there's lots of options here. I think in general, if you're talking, it's maybe 20 seconds to kill the shadow creature, and oh yeah, the traveling merchant has a cutscene too. I reckon there's probably about 40-50 seconds there, and I might have cut that down to 20 or 30, which hopefully should be worth it. But yeah, I'm gonna do another run of this just to make sure everything's I guess just to showcase it all again, right? My brain's running out of energy, so we'll just give it a go. So yes, as usual, syringe and go. Yes, I think having this as a whole route would be more useful to some. So I don't want to use this necessarily as like a speedrun guide. I'd rather remake this once once other people have shared their opinions and whatever, maybe given it a go, and maybe, either someone else or myself can make a tutorial after that. I'm more than happy to express the intricacies of this. I think I very much understand the backups in a situation like this. So jump attack to kill 1. Oh, doesn't your combo carry over? Yeah, your combo carries over between saves. So I didn't necessarily need to jump attack there. Another thing I wanted to bring up is material order. Iron ingot's the first thing I've picked up, so it's going to be the first thing I see in the crafting inventory. I picked up a stick there, so that's second. That's annoying. If you can go by without any sticks or pet berries, bear in mind, pick up the wire. Yeah, if you can go by without any sticks or pet berries, was that a wall I just hit? Then, yeah, your inventory order will be smoother for crafting. I think you could probably save a lot of time if you memorize the order in which you pick things up for the first time, especially if you're playing on controller, because then you know which inputs you need to do to craft, and you could probably do it blind if you tried. I'm going to restart again just so I can comment everything. So rather than adding new stuff, I can always bring that up later or put it in an additional notes file. So yes, I want play-by-plays this time. So rather than deep explanations, let's talk about everything we do. So grab the syringe, or don't. Password is 1995. Leave, skip the cutscene. Skip the cutscene again. Rescue Iris. Equip the war axe. Quick tip: you can just open the menu while you're rolling to stop losing speed. Then we jump attack this spider. break these bushes down here, recharge, pick up an ingot, kill this spider for a metal scrap, kill this spider for an engine oil, break this crystal for a wire, wait, pick up the, well, it's important you pick up the wire before you break this crystal, pick up the sprocket, and then skip this. I'm gonna break some things for extra metal scrap. We have one extra metal scrap already, I think, so we don't need to worry about... oh yeah, we kill these. Grab a fuse, look upwards, run through here. Maybe I hadn't held it for long enough. The camera takes some time sometimes. Or I wasn't too far enough to the right or something, regardless. Kill this guy. Hold here, then fall off, respawn on the sign. I'm going to break these. Although it's probably faster to break them in the fight. I'm going to go for an attack here. Oops. With 1, 2, 3. Skip the cutscene. So we had no extra parries, so 280 is a fairly standard number of bolts. And then my recommendation here is, well, of course we leave. Skip you, run, skip you. And then what I'm gonna buy is, I'm gonna do the backup route I had. So we found an extra metal scrap, so I'm just gonna buy 8 of these. Buy 1 engine oil, 3 coils, 3 ingots. Leave, come up to this crafting table, craft a spinner because our ingots are first, hop on it immediately, break these boxes for good luck, and then come off it because you run out of stamina, and then jump off, and then we come up here. Oops. The extra bamboo got me. Meteor dust here. That was an ingot here, so we grab an ingot here. Then we grab a sprocket here. We go shop again. And now we've bought all our other materials, all we need here is just 2 more ingots. Pretty quick shop, takes about 10 seconds probably. That's an estimate. Oh yeah, by the way, we can just come down here at this point. Grab some extra scrap there, talk to Cecilia. Skip training. Off the meteor dust. Then we got to make sure we craft jump boots before we leave. Then slip through the gap. Spin charge, grab up here. Oh yeah, come around the back. Break these, break these, break these. Oh yeah, I forgot to equip the parry master chip, so that's something to do. Oops, I didn't mean to hit that, so. Skip the cutscene. Of course, we're right next to this at this point, so this would have been a faster crystal for this run. But yes, once we've broken one, we don't need to break any more, so. I'm going to keep some combo going, and then equip the axe. Ah, I missed. We need to make sure we grab this before we leave. So it wasn't too much time lost there. Yeah, I'm just going to go straight this way. Then we come down here, grind any scrap if we need to. Craft hook shots. We don't need to do that, do we? Ah, come on. That's an annoying bit. Neutral jump to get up here. Spin attack. Not this sort of spin attack, but you know what I mean. Then we break this for a wire, and then both of these for sprockets. I'm going to run out of stamina here. Unless I get a parry. Great. Cheeky parry that. Yeah. So that's Flame Blade and double hook shot. And then hook shot across, come into here, skip Iris's text box. Come across here, then we grab this terminal, and then we can teleport back to Gardens. And now, of course, you have the option of going to the shop. I've done enough shopping already, so I can craft, well, an attack cog with the number of additional scrap I've put. Oh no, I needed one more for the shotgun, didn't I? Forgot to craft the shotgun again, so I'm going to go buy an extra scrap quickly, unless we get one here. There we go. Just ask. So yeah, craft the shotgun, and then buy any additional scrap if you need it, and now, yeah, I guess after equipping this, we're set. So yeah, that's the strat. There are, of course, reset points and backups. So I think what I've gone through is probably the ideal, a pretty ideal scenario. So I think reset points are pretty much down to materials. So I think at the start, when we're in downtown, if you don't, I think the first reset point easily is that third material crystal, the one that drops a sprocket. So you need to make sure you have an ingot, a wire, and an engine oil in your inventory before you break that third material crystal. Otherwise, it will drop another wire, basically, or one of the materials that you don't have. So yeah, make sure to break that third crystal late. Yeah, if you don't kill the jumping spider for whatever reason, there are... Well, yeah, if you don't kill it here, I think there's sometimes a chance where it gets knocked down a hole. Actually, that should be fine because it's not one that drops one. It's not the one that drops an item. So if an enemy gets dropped down a hole, it still counts towards the counter, even if its item doesn't get dropped. However, because this one doesn't drop an item, if it falls into a hole, that's fine. You can still kill another one and you'll get the coil from that. I think it's a good idea if you don't kill that one, then kill one in here and then kill one in here. That's fine. Or for if any reason you need to save and quit, maybe you're doing practice strats and you've made a save. You've made a save here. I've done that. So I've got one in pretty much that position. If I just delete the file we were on and copy this one over. This is a spawn-in headquarters with 2274 bolts, which is pretty standard. I think it's 2270 is the... Oh no, it's 2274 is the lowest amount I think you can have. And we have 2 wires, 4 scrap in this one, 2 oil, sprocket, ingot. Basically what we intend to have. If you reset points are so there. If you miss that, if you get a wire or any other material from that second material crystal, you're kind of screwed. Your item routing will be all messed up then. There's a backup if you kill the jumping spider. If you don't kill if you don't kill enough mini spiders, you can always kill them as you go, or you can just buy more engine oil from the shop. That's possible too. What other reset points are there? I think it's the sprocket quantity is the important one. So we always need to make sure that we have two. Basically, we have one when we come over here. If for any reason you kill, I know that when we come back to downtown, there's one of the enemies with swords, and they like, slashing you or whatever. If you kill those guys, I think the first one of those drops a sprocket, right? That is a reset point if you pick that sprocket up. If you can get off the screen before the sprocket gets to your inventory, which is hard, depending on where it is, then that's fine. But if you see Sprocket X1 pop up in this corner, then you basically need to reset. Like that's very hard to recover from. Although yeah, if it was a marathon, I'm sure I could work something out. Like if you were desperate, there's 2 cogs in that in caves, for instance. That if you've got enough materials, otherwise you'll get them from there. What else was there? What was I thinking of? Oh yeah. You'll know it's also important that when you're in this room here and you're coming up into the terminal room after you've hit the sprocket material crystal, it's imperative you pick that sprocket up before you screen transition. You'll know if it's gone into your inventory not by the sound it makes, but if it says Sprocket X1 appear in the bottom right corner down here. If that's the case, then then you've picked it up basically. Then in here, it's not particularly a massive deal. Oh, it's a reset point if you have 1 metal scrap and you then break 2 material crystals in here. So I can break 1, not now because I haven't done my shopping, I don't think. Yeah, I need to go shopping and then craft a spinner. But if I do that quickly, I'm going to get rid of some metal scrap here. So let me craft nothing. There we go. So we now only got 1 metal scrap in my inventory. So because of that, if we buy 3 ingots here, I'm going to buy those 3 coils too. You get another metal scrap as drop, and that as a sprocket. That in place of an ingot. Oh, sorry. In the long term, it's replacement for a sprocket. So we get an ingot there, and then what happens is we break this and we get a metal scrap, as you can see. I didn't need to open this. Bear in mind I missed one here and didn't get the one on top of the general store. I think this one now has another ingot in it, right? So what's happened is we've got 2 ingots and a metal scrap from that. That's basically a reset. And then, yeah, other than that, there is flexibility in whether you go for crafting and the cans, whether you go for a 3rd shop or not, and also what you choose to do for your can routing, basically. I think going for a 3rd shop is probably faster than grinding cans everywhere, but of course, if it's no time loss to hit some cans, like, for example, if you're coming out of here, it's technically time loss to go over there. It's like half a second, right? But coming around here, that's absolutely fine. So do that by any means. By all means, sorry. And yeah, I'm assuming this will save a bit of time, probably 10 to 20 seconds or so. But yeah, again, untested, just theorized. So yeah, hope this hasn't been too long. Be interesting to see other people's opinions, and I'm more than happy to make a more full and in-depth video on this. Yeah. Bye. Lol.